Okay, reading from the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, Book 1, Chapter 6, Text 42. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Śrī Parīkṣit uvāca, chrutvā duṣṭa-kaṁsasya, jananī dhṛṣṭa-ceṣṭitā, jarā-hata-vicārā sa-śiraḥ-kampam abravīt. Śrī Parīkṣit said, upon hearing this, the mother of the wicked Kaṁsa spoke out, her head shaking, her manner bold, her judgment spoiled by old age. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chaksuramilitam yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya-manobhishtam Stapitam yena bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So greetings from New Jersey on Ekadasi, Bhakati Jananī, Madhavatiti, the days of Lord Hari give birth to devotion. And I always like that metaphor. Someone gives birth, it means something suddenly appears. So we want some inspiration in bhakti. The days of Lord Hari, like Ekadasi and the various holidays, they have a special potency to bring something that wasn't there, surprisingly. Yes. So upon hearing this, Marge Prickett is, of course, giving this wonderful summary of the Bhagavatam in the form of a different story, that has the same message. They have that metaphor, old wine in new bottles. So it's the same thing, just the shape is different. So this is the Bhagavatam, which is meant to purify our hearts and purify our intelligence so that we can hear the pastimes of Krishna, hear the Ras Lila, and hear the truth without filtering it by our misconceptions and our material desires. So the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta serves the same exact function. It purifies our intelligence, it purifies our heart with the purpose of giving us a pure lens, a pure mind, to hear without distortion. Just like I have glasses now. So what's the purpose of glasses? That I can see without distortion. Otherwise I can't see. Although I'm doing much better. I'm kind of amazed at that cataract operation and how quickly it corrected my vision. I was having problems seeing the page. But it's a good analogy. Without glasses, now of course I'm better, I can't see what is there because I'm filtering it through a lens which is not clean and a lens which is distorted. That's our consciousness. When you are not tadvidi pratipatena pariprashnena sevya upatekshanti te jnanam jnaninas, unless you hear properly and purify yourself by the right consciousness, the right attitude, the right actions, then you don't see what's there. That's called illusion. Or we project in a way that we see what's not there. And I just, a new person, give someone without any background, give them the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam and ask them what they've heard. Would they have heard the absolute truth, or would they heard something mundane? Whether they heard something mythological, whether they have heard something licentious? I mean, what is yoga? Chitta vritti narodha. Yoga is narodha, getting rid of the distortions. And in Krishna consciousness, we say cheto darpanam marjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam. We clean cheta darpanam, like a mirror, marjanam, cleaning, cheta, the consciousness. So the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, by the mercy of Srila Sanatana Goswami, and by the mercy of my godbrothers who made such an incredible translation and commentary, I used to sit in the room where they would argue over one word. They would argue over, I mean, you couldn't have had a better group of people than His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj, Srimad Gopi Pranadhana Prabhu, and Srimad Keshav Bharti Maharaj. They would go over one word for clarity, to make sure what is being said is understood. This is what an editor does. This is what a writer does. Or editor, let's say, what is being said is understood. Anyway, in this story, and I'll just quickly, look at the glorious list of my participants today. Thank you all. So you know the story. So upon hearing this, upon hearing what? Tat chrutvā. Upon hearing this, then duṣṭa-kaṁsasya jananī, the wicked mother of Kaṁsa, old, and her vichār, her discrimination is jarā-hata, is spoiled by old age. Her discrimination is spoiled. So in this way, she's going to say something with discrimination, which is spoiled. Discrimination can be spoiled by prejudice. It can be spoiled by material desire. It can be spoiled by ignorance. This word, vichāra, discrimination. What do our acharyas do? Nana shastra vichara naika nipano sadharma samstapako. Nana Shastra Vicāranaika. They went through all the Shastra, discriminating. Nana Shastra Vicāranaika Nipano. Just very expertly discriminating. Sadharma, Sadstapako, to establish what is the truth. Why? Lokanam Hitakarano. For all the people, Lokanam Hita, doing good for welfare for all the people. Lokanam Hitakarana Turbhuvane Manyashara, and therefore they're worthy of, the whole world should take shelter of them. Upon hearing this, and what did she just hear? She heard the glorification. I even took notes on this. She heard her, which I never do. She heard the glorification of the residents of Vrindavan. Now again, this is the search of Narada for the topmost recipient of Krishna's mercy, and found upon hearing this, the abject, complete glorification of the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta by Mother Rohini. And I mentioned this on Wednesday, but different. Some people only come Sunday, so I can mention it again. It's worth repeating. The glorification was done so far in two ways about the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta. Uddhava was saying, I saw their separation. I saw, when I didn't have devotion compared to the gopis, they're the topmost recipient of Krishna's mercy. And then Rohini objecting because of how much they were suffering. The piteous cries of Mother Yasoda would melt stones and shatter thunderbolts. So it's described, their devotion is described. Now the question is whether it was fortunate or not. No one's questioning their devotion of the residents of Vrindavan. No one's questioning their devotion. Uddhava says they're the topmost devotees because of it's just a question of whether this is mercy or not, because how much they were suffering. But upon hearing this, what has she just heard? Padmavati, what has she just heard? She heard about their devotion, how great devotees they were. And because in all difficulty, they paid absolutely no regard for themselves. Never did they think, or they only thought of Krishna's welfare. And everything was dedicated for his pleasure. Rohini was just saying, these devotees are so great. And now the accusation of Krishna, the accusation of Krishna by Rohini, mother of Balaram, and you don't go back. So now Padmavati will do kind of Purva Paksha. When you have a thesis, the thesis has been established by Uddhava. Narada is coming and searching for Uddhava because of his devotion. And he wants his association. And this is what devotee does. He seeks sadhu sangha. Everything's based on sadhu sangha. There's 5 most potent items of devotional service. One is sadhu sangha, but they're all sadhu sangha. Because residing in the holy dham, that's sadhu sanga. Without sadhu sanga, the holy land doesn't have relevance to us. Chanting the holy name. Without sadhu sanga, we won't enter deeply into the holy name. Hearing the Bhagavatam, we hear that from the sadhus. Worshipping the deity, the sadhu gives us the deity, gives us the blessings, gives us the mantra by which we can worship the deities. So naturally, if the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta is presenting us devotion, Guru Pad Asraya, the first principle is Ashraya, taking shelter. Tadvidi pratipatena, surrendering, taking shelter, opening our hearts, serving. So, Narada is in that search for those great devotees, and now it's being established. But now that point is being established so strongly about the resonance of Vrindavan, their level of devotion. Now, Purva Paksha means you push against it to establish it. So Sanatana Goswami is going to use the wicked, the duṣṭa-kaṁsasya, jananī, the wicked mother of Kaṁsa, to push back against this so that there'll be a force greater to establish it. So I think it's a wonderful story. It's a wonderful literary device. And she's going to argue they exploited Krishna. Why are you glorifying them? They exploited Krishna. How did they exploit Krishna? Just see, since childhood, our Krishna has stayed in the forest full of thorns to guard the cows of those merciless cowherds. Akripa. Without kripa, akripa. Vatam, the people who are akripa. And when did the gopanam, akripa vatam, the cowherd boys who are without mercy. Just see Krishna, Achyuta, Padmavat ya uvāca, aho bhatachyutas tesham, gopinam akripavatam, abalyat, since childhood, abalyat, kantakaranye, the forest full of thorns. And they send him to what? Palayam Asha, guarding Goganan, so many cows. And the commentary here is interesting. As the name Achyuta indicates, Krishna never fails to carry out his responsibilities, even when they are troublesome. So she's calling him Achyuta because he's infallible. He's still one who never falls down from his responsibilities, from his position. That's what Achyuta means. In the Brahma Vimohan Leela, Krishna is called Achyuta because he's a young cowherd boy, and he's eating with his other friends. And I always get the image of the turmeric and the whey from the rice falling down his sleeve. And then we find out at the end, he manifests his Aishvarya as a four-handed Vishnu form, and it's so spectacular what's mentioned. And at the end, we see him in that Akila Rasamrita Murti, in that position of full love, Akila Rasamrita Murti. We see him not covered by position. And Prabhupada says, Achyuta means he never falls down from the position of Krishna. The Aishvarya is lower. It's covering up his intimate side. We think that Aishvarya, opulence, makes God greater. It actually makes him less because it's covering his intimate side. So Prabhupada says, Achyuta. He never falls down from the position of Krishna. So she's saying, just see, without shoes, in the forest, they're working him to the bone. This is child labor. This is child labor. Paduke na duduste smai. Nadu, they did not give paduke, no shoes. And kudachit cha shuda tura gorasam. They never gave him shoes. And if tormented by hunger, he sometimes ate a little stuff made from the milk. And the cowherd boys, women, pushed him by tying him up. So now this is pushing back in this story, pushing back by Padmavati, the obstacle to the glory. It's the obstacle to the glory to establish the glory. Just like in Krishna Lila, Jatila and Kutila, how we went to Jawat. Our friend Raghunath Pujari in Vrindavan, he runs this incredible girls' school. It's amazing. I saw their name, Yudhisthira, you're there. I'm going to have Yogamaya take you there in Nandagaon. Incredible school. But first we went to Jowett. And we went on the roof, and they preserved Srimati Radharani's room. It's very beautiful. But that's where her in-laws. And Jatila is always trying to protect Radharani from that rascal Krishna. There's a book written by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Chatmukhar Chandrika, the moonbeam of Chatmukhar, of sheer astonishment. So she serves that role. We even know why the Padakiya ras, Kiya means to do, para means with others, swakiya means with your own. Swakiya means married life, parakiya means with others. We know why the parakiya is the highest thing in the spiritual world, because the risk or the opposition to the goal makes the relationship more intense. So here, and they scolded him abusively because he was young. Krishna had no choice but to tolerate all this pain. But what does he have to do for those people now? Why are you thinking, Rohini, that Krishna has to go back to those people? Purport, angry at Krishna's stealing yogurt and buttermilk, Mother Yasoda's neighbor, would come to complain to her, to her and complain. Your son sometimes comes to our houses before the milking of the cows and releases the calves, and when the master of the house becomes angry, your son merely smiles. Sometimes he devises some process by which he steals palatable curd, butter, and milk, which he then eats and drinks. When the monkeys assemble, he divides it with them. And when the monkeys have their bellies so full they won't take more, he breaks the pots. Sometimes if he gets no opportunity to steal the butter or milk from a house, he will be angry at the householders. And for his revenge, he will agitate the small children by pinching them. Then, when the children begin to cry, Krishna will go away. Bhāgavatāmṛta 10:8-29. Padmavati says that the abuse Krishna tolerated was heaped upon him because of Kalagati, the movement of time. This can mean that because he was only a child, he was hardly aware of the impropriety of what the cowherds were doing to him. And in any case, it was a situation he was powerless to change. Or else it can mean he was thinking that as long as he had to stay incognito in Vraja to hide from Kaṁsa, he would have to tolerate inconveniences. Śrī Parīkṣit said, Rohini, the darling of Vraja, was fully endowed with the gravity of wisdom. Ignoring Padmavati's remarks, she went on speaking from where she left off. So Padmavati, so that's one way of dealing with something. You ignore it. That's the worst thing. One time, one of my godbrothers, he left ISKCON. He was very, very bitter, and he was complaining, and someone challenged him. Why do you complain so much? He said, well, at least I care. At least I care. So this is one way to do it. I don't care. Rohini doesn't care. The darling of Vraja. Pragna. Gya means to know. Pragya means very much knowing. Kamara et acharet pragyo. Prahlad Maharaj, Kumar at a young age, acharet, he pragno. Gambhirya, sampurna, purna, complete, sampurna. Some means also complete, sampurna, fully endowed with gambhirya, with gravity. The Vrajavalabha, the darling of Vraja. Ignoring Padmavati's remarks, she went on speaking where she left off. Rohini said, then he went to Śrī Mathura, the capital of the Yadus. He killed many enemies, relaxed for a while, and became the king of the rulers of the kings. So now Rohini was saying, these rascals in the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, they abused Krishna, and she just ignored him. She says, no, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about Krishna. I'm talking about why Krishna does not go back. That these residents of Vrindavan, the piteous cries of Yasoda, making the stones melt and the thunderbolts shatter. And then he went to Mathura. Now honored by countless demigods, whom he has sometimes defeated and sometimes helped, this Lord of yours no longer even thinks about the residents of Vraja. So there's two kind of pushback. One, the residents of Vrindavan are glorified, and Rohini, Padmavati, is pushing back, and also Rohini's pushing back on the concept that the residents of Vrindavan are the recipients of Krishna's mercy. And in establishing that point, or trying to establish that point, it's reflecting on Krishna is not merciful. So here, how's he merciful? Now honored by countless demigods whom he sometimes defeated and sometimes helped, this Lord of yours no longer even thinks about the residents of Vrindavan. He's not merciful to the residents of Vrindavan. He does not even think about them. No. Now, another figure comes in. Just see how it's presenting the glories of the residents of Vrindavan, and it's being pushed back by Rohini, how great they are, that Padmavati is pushing back on how great the residents of Vrindavan are, and then Rohini's continuing how they don't have Krishna's mercy. Krishna doesn't care for them. He goes other places. He no longer even thinks smarati chitte in his mind. Smarati chitte api natesham. Of them not, he thinks in the mind. Of them he thinks in the mind. Now Rohini comes in, and she's going to push back. You think that Krishna doesn't? So it's just like, when you sharpen an axe, you hit things from the side and the point becomes so clear. And I guess the literary way this is designed, from different angles, the same point's going to be mentioned about the Tasya Parama Antim, the topmost devotion is the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛtas. Because even if Krishna neglects them, so out if Krishna neglects them, and still they love Krishna. Ashlishyava pararitam panastumam madarshanam mamahatam chrutvā. He still loves them. But now, so even if he forgets that they're so great, if he remembers them, they're so great. Because it's about their devotion. The question of whether Krishna is merciful or not will be dealt with later. But no one can question, each one of these, you cannot question their devotion. And the only one who questions their devotion was Padmavati, and she's completely ignored. It's kind of like, this is not even worthy of thinking about. But now we're going back to is Krishna merciful or not? You can't deny, except for Padmavati, who said these residents of Vrindavan are rascals, there's still now the question of Krishna. Of course, Krishna, if he doesn't think about them, their devotion is still so great because they paid no regard to themselves. But it doesn't sit well with Rohini, with Rukmini, Krishna's wife, that Krishna is being criticized. And she's going to say it. Śrī Parīkṣit said, Krishna's dear mother, Rukmini, Bhishmaka's daughter, who always lived in Krishna's heart, found these words unbearable, and so she spoke up. My dear mother, you don't understand the inner feelings of Krishna at all. His heart is softer than newly churned butter. Why are you saying these things? Just hear from me what I have heard. This is mind-blowing. Sometimes at night he says this and that in his sleep. Sometimes in the most sweet voice, he utters names as if calling those cows in Vrindavan. Sometimes he calls his girlfriends or some of the cowherd boys. And sometimes while asleep, he acts as if he was placing the flute in his mouth and assumes his enchanting threefold bending form. You're saying he went to Mathura and he forgot? He went to Dwarka and he forgot about the residents of Vrindavan? I'm laying next to him at night. He's calling the cows. He's calling the cowherd birds. He's calling the gopis. He's in such a stupor. He's putting a flute to his mouth, and there's a threefold bending form. How can you say he forgets? How can you say he forgets? He's asleep, and in his sleep he puts the do that. And in his sleep he puts the flute, like he's playing a flute, and he threefold bending form to attract the gopis. I'm sitting next to him as his wife. While asleep, sometimes he says, "Mother, give me some fresh butter." Sometimes he calls out to me, "Oh, Sri Radha, oh, Lalita." Sometimes he pulls on my garments and asks me, "Chandravali, what are you doing?" And sometimes he drenches the pillow on his bed with floods of tears. Then at times he suddenly wakes up, rises from bed and cries in a pitiful voice, drowning us in an ocean of pain and grief. Just last night, he must have seen something in a dream, because today he has been weeping sorrowfully and is beside himself with agitation. Now he's lying in bed as if asleep. His cloth pulled over his head. He has not even performed his morning duties. So I can't comprehend the literary genius of Sanatana Goswami. He's weaving together. So now, in this kind of dialogue where Rukmini has to defend Krishna, because Rukmini, his wife, has to defend Krishna because Rohini said Krishna was neglecting the residents of Vrindavan. In Rohini's defense, she now comes back to where we were right at the beginning of this particular chapter, where Uddhava, Narada is coming to see Uddhava. Uddhava is with the residents of Vrindavan, the key ones, Balaram, Rukmini, Satyabhama, Balaram, sitting on the terrace outside Krishna's room, and he hasn't got up. This is why he's not got up. She's saying, I'm his wife, I'm sleeping next to him. He's just been weeping sorrowfully. He's besides himself in agitation. He's lying in his bed. Adyapi today, Drishva, having seen something, he must kimapi swapam, while dreaming at night, and therefore krandam, sobbing, sucha, out of sorrow, vimana sakta, by mental distraction, agitated, and datva, placing Abram, his cloth, mudani, on his head, supta, as if sleeping, and stita, remaining there, and nityani, his duties, na atrate, he does not perform his duties. So now we're being set up, and this whole thing has to be resolved. How Krishna can allow the residents of Vrindavan to suffer so much. And if they are suffering so much, how are they topmost recipients of Krishna's mercy? And if Krishna is allowing this, how is he merciful to them? This is the point that has to be resolved through our lens. Our lens has to be able to hear this and understand that it's an expression of the highest form of devotion, which Narada is seeking out. Okay. Jamunajaya, is there a point that you got today? You can start it off, then I know. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, yeah, that's this last. There's two major things with this last conversation with Rukmini is just. I'm just really thinking about her character. Here she is saying, "He's my husband. He's lying right beside me, and he's talking about these things." And she's saying it not with any envy. She's using it as a glorification of people of Vrindavan. So her character just is really wowing me.
And this is going to come out in the next chapter because when Krishna finally wakes up and becomes disturbed and then collapses, and then Vishwakarma, the head of the architect of the demigods, takes him to New Vrindavan, Nava
Mm.
Vrindavan outside of Dwarka, where they made out of wax an exact replica of the pastimes of Krishna, and they take him out there to revive him, and they finally kind of revive him in this illusion that this is really Vrindavan. The queens of Dwarka are hiding because if they're there, then Krishna will know it's Dwarka and he won't. They're hiding and they're watching, and they've never seen such a full manifestation of Krishna's heart when he sees Mother Yasoda with fresh butter in her hand and Radharani, and he thinks Radharani is there, and the cows, and they're not envious at all. They went in ecstasy. So it's really extraordinary.
So wonderful. I love the point also of that Krishna is a chuta because he never falls down from that position of being the cowherd boy. That was mind
That's
blowing.
what Prabhupada said. I think I'll add that. Achyuta, he never falls down. And he rends that when yeah, I'm gonna put that down because I have to take notes. I gotta write something. I am getting good feedback from the WhatsApp group. They people like these little audio messages.
It's wonderful.
You don't
Yeah.
have to have likes, or it doesn't matter, but I get feedback. So it's a challenge for me because I got that. So I love this thought. I'll have to put this thought out. Yeah. Okay. Gail, you get up next.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much. Yeah, actually, I have a few things, but this achyuta, you know, it seems like there's different aspects to this word. As Jamuna was saying, he never comes down from being Krishna, that intimate side. But then we also hear that he never fails to do his duty,
Right.
which, and then we also hear that he never fails to protect his devotees,
Yeah.
you know, which
Yeah.
is
It's
means
used
to
in so many ways, but one who never
Mhm.
falls down. So these are the ways that he never comes down from his original position. It's
Hmm.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Gail, by the
Also,
way, have you been
uh-huh.
in touch with Vrajalalana?
Not for the past couple of weeks, no.
Yeah, she's in her last
Yeah,
week or
yeah.
two.
I know she's been hot on my mind, hot, hot, hot on my mind.
Yeah, I don't even know because I'm in touch with one of her friends who called me yesterday for a particular reason, called me about this and said, was reading with her. And yeah, okay, just
Yeah.
wanted to let you know. Okay.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Yeah, just yeah, I'm going to be calling her like immediately. But this one other thing, this Purva Paksha.
Yeah.
Can you say that term can be translated as like a devil's advocate type of
Yeah.
argument?
Uh, yeah, maybe devil's advocate could be one, but I'm not, I don't really know the, the term. I'd have to look at it more, but I know it's thesis, antithesis, right? To come to a conclusion in an
Uh-huh.
argument
Uh-huh.
is thesis, it's antithesis.
Yes.
It's the against, and the against establishes the thesis. And-
Okay.
yeah, okay. All
But
right.
this Maharaj, this
Yeah.
um Rohini, both Rohini and Rukmini, they're both coming to Krishna's defense, right? When it said that, how is he being merciful to?
Well, Rohini is actually criticizing Krishna.
But she's the same one, though, who said that, that he was being exploited.
That was
right?
Padmavati.
Oh, that was
Padmavati is Kaṁsa's wife, was the one that was exploited. That's why I'll repeat the story again and again. There's just so many characters.
Yeah, and I'm challenged with keeping up with the names and things.
Padmavati is Kaṁsa's mother, and she's criticizing the residents of Vrindavan for
letting him go out there.
Without shoes and hungry. And Rohini is glorifying them, that they're such great devotees because they paid no regard for themselves, that everything is dedicated towards Krishna. So there's a lot going on there. It's best when I'm doing this now, I think, to get the book and read it a little bit.
Maharaj, because you repeatedly talk about Sanatana Goswami's literary genius.
Yeah.
I always wonder what specifically you're thinking about when you
it's just as I'm studying this, one thing is how he's preparing the intelligence and the heart to understand the highest subject. That's brilliant how he does it. And the story how he does it, and the different characters how he does it. It's just, I can't in a class like this, and it's not really my field, literature, so to speak. And as a layman in this kind of field, I'm just looking at it, and just as I'm studying it deeply, because I'm teaching it, amazed how everything just comes together, and he's just focused on the theme. And a good book has a theme, and the theme is the one point that connects everything else together, even if it's apparently not related. So he just connects all this together to highlight actually the love of the gopis.
Which is the theme, right?
It's the theme, and how wait till you see when we get to the next chapter how he does it and how it culminates. It's like brilliant, because he has this whole story where they go to New Vrindavan, and I told you that the residents of Vrindavan, Rukmini, the Dwarka, they can't go there, because if they're there, then Krishna will still be in separation. And the problem is Krishna's fainted out of separation. So they have this whole rule that they're in Vrindavan, but it's a replica of Vrindavan. So Rukmini, she's in ecstasy seeing how she loves Krishna so much. She sees Krishna revealing himself more in relation with the gopis. But Satyabhama, who's a different type of personality, the left wing, rebellious, when Krishna comes back to the palace, everybody greets Krishna, but she's angry, and then Krishna gets angry with her. And then,
I know.
Yeah,
my sore spot.
What?
I said, I know. You remember, that's my sore spot.
Right. The honeymooners. Okay. Okay. All right. Haribo, anybody else like to share something?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Krishna-katha. Thank you so much greatly for the class. And it's partially a kind of question. You said that Aishwarya covers his intimate side. And is it to hide this very subtle, very sacred side from those who can't understand it fully? So
no, it's love. It's just like a father has a wonderful relationship with his son, and the intimate side doesn't help that relationship. And I always give the example. I have respect for my father, and with 3 bedrooms in my house upstairs, and then you go downstairs and there's a living room, and there's a kitchen, and then you go downstairs, there was a basement. So they were having a party, right? They're having a party. And my father, he was a master mason, so that his title was Worshipful Walter Winokur. He was a little something, and that's a father, so that he's respectable. But I went downstairs and he was talking with his friends, and when I passed by, he said something so lewd. And then he had to cover himself because I was there. Because that intimate side of joking with his friends, which is all sex jokes and stuff like that when men get together, talking about, I can't even say what he said, it was so gross. So I'm just saying, yeah. So the Aishvarya, it hides the intimate side for the benefit of the relationship of reverence, which is the love people have for Krishna when he manifests himself as God. Okay, thank you. Good. Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Hemala Tarrada.
Shakishore.
Great. Love that you both are on the classes regularly. This is how we advance in spiritual life.
Maharaj, I wanted to say something that it was interesting for me to, in this just like 10 verses, how many different perspectives of the same action. So it was interesting to see how Padmavati, Rukmini, and Rohini, they all see it in a different way or presented in a different way.
Isn't it? It's and how it brings out the same thing ultimately, which
Exactly.
is the resonance. So nice that you, all the way there in Argentina, you managed to get a copy and bring it back. Great. Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna, Gurudev.
Jai Shri Radhe. Can't see you.
Thank you. I'm not quite ready to get seen.
Okay.
Morning. Sorry.
Okay.
I just wanted to say thank you for your example of highest concentration on a topic, because your clarity is very inspiring. How clearly you see the interactions in between all the characters, and how very easily you can go back, go forward, explain everything. It's really inspiring how deeply you study.
It's great. And we have to make some plan for another program or two at your house in maybe June or July. I'm not sure what my plan is for the rest of the summer. I have some idea. I'm exploring to visit Russia during the summer.
Whoa.
You can tell Maharani that I may, and she can come all the way. I'm not sure yet. I have to see if I get a visa. Because it's different things, but it's in my mind, my inspiration. And, you can't go directly there either.
Right.
Because I remember last time, I guess, how she came all the way from Siberia. How far is that to Moscow by train?
By train, it's like a day and a half.
Okay, they must have good trains. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, Tota Gopinath here. Great to hear from you.
Hey, we'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, Haribo.
Jack will also take with us.
Okay, excellent.
Okay.
Perfect.
Anybody else?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. It's Paul Govinda.
I'm Broja.
Thanks for class.
Hey, Haribo.
Haribo.
Okay. So it's all set, 12 o'clock.
Great.
Okay.
We're good. We're good.
Judge is there to keep it within certain parameters. Okay.
Unfortunately, she won't be there. Somebody else has to reel me in.
Beforehand.
Yeah. A lot of pep talks.
You can have one assistant there, but beforehand, she'll make sure it's
I'm trying.
okay. Anybody else say hello?
Haribo.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for class.
Amala, where is your Neem Karoli Baba?
It's almost warm here, so I don't really need it now.
Wow, to get some heat in Albany is something, huh?
Right.
That's nice. Okay. Good. Haribo. Anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, it's Yvette. Thank you so much for class. Wonderful,
Yvette,
usual.
you're everywhere, Yvette.
I know.
That's great.
Thank you.
You've become what's called the nectar hound.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Philadelphia, upstate New York, every place.
When will you be back at Super Soul?
I'm going to, my plan, I have to arrange everything, but probably on June 3rd before Rath Yatra, I'll stay with Donna Cayley.
Okay.
And he lives about 20 minutes, and I'll come over at least the day that Madhav is doing kirtan there.
Yeah, I'll be there.
And of course.
Of course.
Then I'll come back to New Jersey, and then from the 17th through July 4th, I'll be up there.
Okay.
I'll be up there practically myself. Maybe it'll be somebody like Lev or something in the forest that takes care of the the dogs or something. But I'll have the place to myself.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Haribo.
Haribo.
Okay, good. Anybody else like to say hello? Okay. I'm looking at the list of all the great souls who give me this opportunity to engage in Krishna's service. Now I will just enjoy the rest of the Ekadasi. Haribo, Vanchakopa, Tirupyascha, Kripa Sindhu,